Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Bodybuilding Motion. And today somebody asked me about whether I'm going to make a different program on my website and include some of the things that I've been talking about lately about slow reps and floor type movements, or the seated barbell curl type of idea where I let the bar touch my leg and come back up and stuff. And one thing I wanted to just clear up for people who get a little bit lost in the maze of the mind, they get a little bit too lost in there. The reason why I introduce a lot of these different techniques isn't because they're superior to the basic techniques. It's just to open your mind to the fact that maybe this is the technique that's superior right here and now. So I want to be very clear about this. Just because something is more complicated, or just because there's ways of hyper-focusing forces in certain areas or hard to develop areas, does not mean that that is a superior way to train. It just might be necessary in certain circumstances, but only until you have done the normal basic sort of routine for several years, where you start to understand where the weak links are developing, and then therefore you may want to start using some focused type techniques to isolate areas that are not responding. So that said, the workout programs on my website are all the programs and techniques that I used in order to achieve a national and pro card winning physique in all my entire bodybuilding career. So I've included the most important things in these programs, and I trust that at some point as I make these videos for you guys, you will know when the right time is to incorporate some of these ideas into the programs that you've already purchased from me. So maybe you're using a certain range of motion on one day, and maybe you feel called to use a different range of motion another day and apply the same rep scheme accordingly, right? Because the reps are just telling you the type of intensity. It doesn't necessarily mean that the range of motion is stagnant or set in stone, depending on what's going on with your particular situation or not. So for example, if somebody has some sort of shoulder injury that's aggravated by going really low on the bench press, or the barbell bench press, or dumbbell bench press, right? Whichever variation, I am trusting that they don't go so low that they're getting the irritation in the joint. But if somebody else seems to get the best results from doing a fuller range of motion, then I expect them to apply that in the workout program. So this is kind of the unsaid truth that's just there. You have to apply it to your specific situation. But if I came out with a program that included some of these crazier kind of weird techniques to isolate certain areas and so forth, I'm not sure how many people would really be interested in a program that's specifically let's just say eccentric, not meaning the eccentric part of the lift, but meaning eccentric as far as strange or different, more like incorporating all sorts of strange type of techniques to hit the body in a strange sort of way. I'm not really sure I even have enough techniques in order to facilitate writing a full program, but again, I'm not really sure how many people would purchase that specifically outside what they're already doing, But if there is an interest in something like that, maybe you guys can give me some ideas of what you want to see in something like that. Maybe I could write something up and that would help you out. But in the end, always, what I'm speaking about when I start to come up with these strange techniques, or partial reps, or full reps under certain loads, or different types of inclines, declines, or low bar squat instead of high bar squat and stuff, what I'm trying to do is break your mind so that way you are open to trying whatever's right for you. So for instance, what I'm doing in my squat routine right now is low bar squats. And I'm doing a lot of stretching, like splits, like forward splits, side splits, all this stuff, just to get my hip mobility back. And it has seemed to make a difference in some of the knee tightness I've been experiencing, along with doing the low bar squat, which isolates the weight above the hip more so than the knees. Like I've said a million times, when you're training, you want the muscles to be hitting failure, not soreness of the joints or some sort of inflammation of the joints that limits your set. You want the muscles to be limiting the set, or the fatigue there. So ultimately what I'm doing is I'm doing my lower bar squat with lighter weights, 20 to 30 reps, with 315 or so. But I'm getting a good muscular pump, and also incorporating a lot of stretching in between sets to see if, the hip tightness is actually contributing to the issue at hand. Now, Is that appropriate for everybody? No. Sometimes people might be experiencing knee tightness because they've got some trigger points in their quadricep. Sometimes it might be the popliteus muscle behind the knee, which is the muscle that helps turn the foot inwards, you know, it's connected to the calf. Sometimes it's a hamstring thing, sometimes it's even a lower back thing. It just depends on the circumstance. But when you are open to trying things and conducting your own experiment, what happens is that you start to maneuver yourself through problems that maybe somebody doesn't have the answer for your specific experience, but by you experimenting and being open and not locked into just one way of doing things, you may stumble across the solution. And that is the most important weapon between you and healing the body and muscle growth. The most important weapon is the open mind that allows you to continue the experiment regardless of what some expert is telling you. So ultimately, I'd like to tell you that I know everything, but I really don't, especially when it comes down to your body. I do know that there are some universal truths, right? There are some. We know that weight training affects the body differently. Like you'll have a different type of look in the body from weight training as opposed to long distance running, right? We can accept that truth. If you're doing 50-mile runs and you're doing bench presses and squats for sets of 10 to 15 reps, you're going to have a different looking physique than if you're running 50 miles every day, right? We know this. So what you do is you base your experiments on some truths that you know, and then some truths that are just hypotheses or theories, whatever you want to call them. And from there you find out how correct you are and how incorrect, and you make mild adjustments depending on what you're seeing happen in your body in that particular moment. So that's really what this is about. And only through you consistently opening up your awareness and being here with the pain that you experience, can you really start to navigate through that pain, like the good pain and the bad pain, and knowing the different types of vibrations and how to incorporate them. I had somebody talk about, they were doing something to numb themselves before workouts, and they were saying, oh yeah, and I feel so great, I'm so connected to my body. No, you're not. If you're numbing out pain through the use of drugs or substances, you're not actually connected to your body, you're actually disconnected. You have a false connection. As one shaman that I know, this shaman basically trained under another shaman, but as one shaman said, he said that there are certain plants that give false promises. So what I'm going to tell you is that if you're numbing out pain, you're not actually honing your awareness. And this entire channel is about honing your awareness and not inducing more pain. And the only way you know if you're inducing more pain or not is if you can actually feel, right? So you want to induce the good pain, not the bad pain, and become aware of the different vibrations as well through the introduction of these different techniques in your training and also what's producing the results in your body. Mountain. So I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. And if you think this helps you out in your training, maybe you want to tune into the podcast on Patreon. The link is in the description. Make sure you check that out and take a listen. You might actually like it. You might learn something, or maybe you want to teach me something. Who knows? But anyway, thanks a lot for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Mountain. Natural Gallant.